It is now time to experience the buzz, a podcast that takes an inside look at amazing people doing amazing things. Get ready for some great conversation that will be fascinating, educational, and inspiring. We will also leave room to help small businesses in a big way. Now, here's your host, entrepreneur Steve Buzzard.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. It is Experience the Buzz, and I am your host, Steve Buzzard. So glad you are here. It is episode number 98. That's right. And today we're going to do a solo podcast in which today I'll be talking about the journey of the 97 episodes that make up Experience the Buzz. So excited to talk about some of the guests that have been on the program. Obviously, within that, there's going to be an invite for you to check it out at buzzardball.com. And then we've got our fifth installment of Heavy Metal Thunder. That's right. We're having fun with this one. We're looking at Mastodon's Leviathan. And as you know, that is my favorite band. And if you didn't know, now you know. But we are going to go ahead and get into what's the buzz. That's right. I got two things, maybe three things to tell you about. Number one, I don't know why. I keep forgetting to tell people this. If you are a golfer, okay, and whether you're good, you got a great handicap, or you even have a bad handicap, it does not matter. 18 Birdies is the app that you have to get. I have seen so many apps that have to do with golf, and this one is the best. It's the best. So outside of getting your NCGA, membership so that you're official, I don't play tournaments, but I like to know my handicap. I also like to know and be able to see courses while I'm playing. This has it all in it. The best part, are you ready? It's free. That's right. Go ahead and look at it now. In fact, put yourself up there. We'll become friends. And what's funny is the one part that I love about 18 Birdies, you can do so much stuff. But for example, if I go out golfing, well, the people that are my friends know that I'm golfing. Now, you can turn that off if you need to for whatever your circumstances are. But it's so funny. Toph will chime in, my son, he says, hey, having a good round, huh? So literally, it's like watching golf. You could like watch someone from hole to hole. I don't suggest that, but it's just kind of a neat feature. So again, 18 Birdies. Check it out on the app. Get it. It's for free. And I'll just say, you're welcome. Okay. Number two, we would love to have you be a sponsor on this show. If you've got a small business that you would like to spotlight, I am telling you, we have done things not only on the audio side, but the video side with my producer, Michael Kenobi, where we give you the exposure that you need on the YouTube channel here of Experience the Buzz. So all you have to do is go to buzzardball.com. You're going to go to the sponsor page. You'll see everything that's available. Here's the best part, though. If you look at that and maybe you have a different thought in mind, here's the number one thing. It's customizable. That's right. You can reach out to me. We can make that happen. We have done that for our 4 sponsors that are on board right now, and I would love to be able to do that for you. On a side note, I'm just going to put out there, whether it matters or not, fantasy baseball. I was in the Final Four. I lost to my son, Max. I'm a little upset about that. Thought I had the team. Didn't work out. But we also have fantasy football, in which I am proud to say that after week 2, 2-0 in my 2 leagues. That's right. We all do more than one league, don't we? Okay. So if you're a fantasy football or even baseball guru, if you're in the playoffs, good luck to you. In football, I hope you got off to a 2-0 start like I did. But if you didn't, don't worry. Like the Las Vegas Raiders, who are now 0-2, and it hasn't been pretty, I have not lost faith. All right, it's time to get into our episode again. It is The Journey. It's episode number 98. Following that will be Heavy Metal Thunder, installment number 5, looking at Mastodon's Leviathan. I hope you enjoyed it. And in fact, enjoy the solo podcast. Welcome in, everybody. Yes, it is episode number 98. And full honesty, it's getting hard to book guests, man. I've got my feelers out there. But you know what? We want to keep this thing consistent. We're trying to give it to you on a weekly basis. And of course, we're very excited about episode number 100 being around the corner. Kind of a nice milestone. Getting into the podcasting world. They say if you can make it past 10, you actually have done a good job. So we've done that times 10. And again, I know I say this a lot, but I can't say it enough. I really love doing this show. And so today, we just wanted to focus on the journey of what has been Experience the Buzz. And of course, I started this journey for myself in January of 2021. I was influenced by Deirdre Fitzpatrick, who was our guest last week with her podcast, and then good friend David Richards, who also has a podcast. Much different. David Richards is into coaching, and Deirdre Fitzpatrick, she's just interviewing people, really bringing things to light, has a great way of interviewing people. So does David too. And that's the beauty, is like looking at that, I was like, man, this is a great way to get back into, one of my passions, which is broadcasting. Now, don't get me wrong, with broadcasting, I may not have become the play-by-play announcer that I had dreamed coming out of college at USC in 1991. But the fact of the matter is that I have used that craft in everything that I've done, whether it be teaching, whether it be as a DJ, whether it be as an auctioneer, whether it be in youth basketball. Broadcasting has made its way in. And so with the podcast, it's just a lot of fun because it kind of brings me back to the roots of how I got started, right? Of just getting on the air, whether it be doing stories, being a host of a show, it didn't matter. I just love being able to talk, and especially on radio. And I think it's interesting too, because when you get into broadcasting, you have that kind of that opportunity. Which direction do you want to go? Do you want to go radio or TV? In my mind, I thought it was TV, but I have to say I'm so glad it ended up being radio. Yeah, there's something about the free form of radio. And now the podcasting world, it's absolutely beautiful because, again, you really have a lot of freedom in what you are able to do. So what I wanted to do is just kind of go over the guests that we've been able to have on this program. And, my first guest I thought of was Tim Collum. And, I was thinking of names that people would know. And what I wanted to do was obviously highlight entrepreneurs, small business owners, and personalities of the 916. And I wanted to start there. And I'm glad I did, because really the people that have been on the show have been incredible. And Tim Collum, as you know, is a very successful real estate agent or realtor. I don't know which one they like to go by. And he's also a very renowned artist here in the area. So having a conversation was great with him. He was in his little shack, his art shack, and I think we did it late at night. And you know what? It was great. And then I followed up with my good friend, I couldn't think of anyone better, Jason Ross from Sports 1140 KHTK. He's been there for almost 30 years, which is incredible. And then, of course, if I had to have male representation, then I had to follow it up with female representation. And so I know she's very proud of this, but author and from Momservations, Kelly Wheeler was our first female guest with episode number 3. And then Anya Hall followed that up in episode number 6. So those were the first 2 on both sides. And then, just going through, I was like, man, it's so cool the people I've been able to talk to, being able to talk to my nephew, PJ Simus, who is a musician and the father of 4 children. Pretty cool. And then John Hodgson, who is a DJ in New York, but now has started up this great company called Department of Sound, which he has done a very good job at. Other young people that I've had on the program, Akachi Okugo from the Sacramento Kings. He's also assistant coach with the Stockton Kings, does personal training, went to Jesuit high school, and man, he has the energy. Oh, and I should say he's a rapper as well. So I looked at him and I'm like, wow, very similar in that we wear a lot of hats and we love what we do. And then even getting younger, like we've had really young guests, Justin Walter, the guitarist, Mitchell Euchre, who did this amazing thing where he went across the country and told stories of people and was very good. And one of my favorites, Ian McVicker, who at the time I believe was just 14 years of age. He made Mask. And the reason I found that out is I came across it. He's a big fan of Slipknot, which is one of the bands I really enjoy. And Ian made Mask. And the way he talked about making those masks, I just thought was incredible. So, with Experience and Buzz, just highlighting these people and then getting in my brain, like, it's going to be cool when we get to the point where we get to revisit with all these people. That's going to come. We're a year and a half, almost a year and a half into the program. And, you may want to know, like, what is the most downloaded episode? And by the way, I don't get into the stats because honestly, I don't understand the stats. So I use a thing called Buzzsprout, and it'll tell you how many downloads you have. But I'm like thinking to myself, like when I listen to podcasts, I don't download, I just listen. So, the way I look at it is like, okay, that's cool to have downloads, but I know there's a lot of you out there that listen to Experience the Buzz. And of course, I want to thank you, okay? But our most downloaded episode belongs to Monica Dinan, and she's in episode number 11. And I don't know why. It's just, it's close to like 500 downloads, which is a pretty good amount. And she was the owner of Bueno Sport and Swim, which, by the way, to this day, she sold. She sold the company, so she's no longer the owner, but she's got the most downloaded episode on Experience the Buzz to date. No one is even close. The next closest would be Tim Collum, who I've already mentioned. And in the number 3 spot, one of my favorite interviews, Grant Napier. That's right. And Grant at the time came to me from Florida, where he is currently living. And you know his story, right? Obviously the tweet with DeMarcus Cousins, basically cancel culture, boop, got him out of here and went to Florida. It was really a sad story, and I didn't think it was fair that what happened to Grant happened to him, because Grant tells it himself, and he's very passionate about it. But this guy, he's just trying to get up on his feet. Of course, he has his rant that he does. He's also got a podcast that is pretty cool. And our conversation was, wow, it was mind-blowing. And what was great about Grant, I need to point this out, is that there was a little weather trouble that was going on. And when you record these interviews, you never know what is going to happen, right? And in this case, there was the weather conditions, and our connection kept getting cut out. We had to do 4 takes. And I would think with someone with Grant, I don't know why in my mind, I was like, okay, wait, I interned for this guy when I started in broadcasting. He's a cool guy. I know him, but I would think he would get frustrated every single time. He said, Steve, let's do it over again. Let's start over. Like, he was so willing to do that. And it turned into one of the longer conversations that I've had. So I invite you to go check out Grant Napier. That was such a great episode. In fact, I can tell you which episode that is. Let's see. Where are you, Grant Napier? I'm taking a look here. Oh, yeah, number 49. Number 49 was the episode for that one. So check that out. Other, big names that we've had on the program, Jeff Levering, who is the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. Of course, you know what we were talking about there, baseball. But more importantly, what was his journey to get to the spot that he's getting to now, and working with a legend like Bob Uecker. Ruthie Bolton. I mean, Ruthie is, Olympic gold medalist. She has done so many amazing things, played with that Sacramento Monarch squad that used to be here in the capital city. Kevin and David Sutherland, probably one of the more entertaining conversations that I have. We talked all about golf, but their upbringing in Sacramento golf was so good. And of course, David and Kevin are so different in personality. So I really enjoyed that conversation. And then another fun conversation took place with Gary Gerald, the voice of the Sacramento Kings. And boy, it goes without saying how great that was. And then, a big thing here on Experience the Buzz is we have sponsors. So I mentioned Tim Collum, who was a sponsor for a while, but also Troy Rousey, Joe Green, Matt Gouget, and Anya Hall, who are 4 sponsors now. Part of our sponsorship, what we do is we do a show. Like, I want to know the journey of that person and what their journey was to get to where they are to be the owner of the business that they now have. And then, of course, on top of that, support them, right? So if you're looking for, embroidery and screen printing and stuff, I would say go to Troy Rousey, R5 Stitch and Print, right? If you love beef jerky, and I mean the best beef jerky, Joe Green at Pit Boss Jerky. And then, of course, Matt Gouget, who's been incredible and just had me on his podcast. And actually, you can check that out. It's called Get Better Every Day. It is episode number 9. We had a nice 20-minute conversation where we basically talked more on the youth basketball side and kind of the influence on kids. So I appreciate Matt in that regard. And it's just so fun to see all the different personalities that we have. I've also done solo episodes that you can check out, including obviously my entrepreneur journey. That actually is episode number 1. Also did my faith journey. I thought that was important. That was something I had thought about, wanted to put out there. So if you want to check that out, that is available in the archives as well. And then a big story in my life was my retirement from St. Michael's that came, COVID was going on, decided to make the move, and, glad I did. And was able to pass the torch on to my boy, Toph Buzzard. And he's doing a great job in his second year as athletic director and PE teacher at St. Michael's. But 26 years of teaching, there were so many emotions that went into that. And so now fast forward to today, I mean, I could literally just run down the list. And I invite you, go to buzzardball.com. Okay. And then you can click where you go to the podcast and it will list everything for you. Of course, we're available on all the podcast platforms. We got Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google. I think there's others out there, but our two popular ones would be Apple and Spotify. And then also, you can subscribe. And by subscribing, all that does is it alerts you that when a new episode comes out. So we try to deliver those every Friday. So I'm just kind of looking here and, just looking lately at what we had, kind of working our way back. We just had Deirdre Fitzpatrick on. That was a lot of fun. Clive Savicle was on, firefighter and fire chief up in Lake Tahoe. Melissa Camilleri, which was a huge podcast for me because what it did is it kind of opened this door to being able to do online courses, something I had been looking into but could never find the answer to. Well, guess what? That's exactly what Melissa does. I did not know that. And so now I have become a client of hers and I'm very excited because online courses is going to be a big thing. And I'm very excited about that. We talked to Blake McCall, hair salon. This guy is so successful, local guy, opened up in San Francisco, doing big things. Kelly DeMarco's been on the program. Christina Mendonça. Scott Gilbert of Get a Clue has been on. Amy Varain, wedding coordinators extraordinaire. In fact, we just worked together this past weekend. She is amazing, and she breaks it down in wedding coordination. And speaking of weddings, I had my good friend Derek Eisenreich and Joe Calamaris on. We talk about those things. So looking at the whole scope of thing, my job is very simple, is highlighting people in the Sacramento area. And again, I go to the fact of everybody has a story. So if you know someone, or maybe you are that someone and you would like to be on the program, please let me know. You can just drop me a line and you can do that either way. You can do it through the website at buzzardball.com. You could do it via email, which is scbuzzard@gmail.com. I'll even take a text from you at 916-947-7464. So what have I got out of this? Well, pure joy. I have gotten out pure joy. And by the way, I want to give a big thank you to my wife, Kristen, who supported me in this adventure, because when I first got into it, it's like there's all these steps you have to take. And I will have to say, I don't want to say it's easy to start a podcast, but I will tell you, you can get up and running pretty quickly. So if you're out there and you're thinking of starting a podcast, you know what? Reach out to me. I'll give you the nuts and bolts of how I started. But a big thing that my wife said needed to be done is we needed to convert a space. And we did that with our bedroom. So I would definitely tell you to do that. And really, I love being able to come into the podcast room, get a little stuff in the background, have a good time with it, and really meet with all of my guests. And that's the other thing too, is don't feel like you have to have guests on live. The only person I actually have had on live was Kenya Kelly. And she is from an early episode. I want to make sure I get that one because let me make sure. I'm sorry, not Kenya Kelly, Kenya Franklin. Okay. And Kenya Franklin is a small business owner, Juiced by Kenya. I think she's still doing it, but she was episode 14 back in February of 2021. And she's like, well, do you want to do it by Zoom or do you want to go in person? I thought, you know what? I got the space here. Let's make it happen. So she actually is the only live guest that has been on Experience the Buzz. She was episode, again, number 14. So there you have it. I'm telling you, the journey has been great. So much more to come. I'm very excited about what is ahead. More guests on the program. We're going to keep it going. Another thing I do want to throw in there, and I think this is important, is that, and I can't remember if it's for the first, 70 episodes, I did everything myself. Okay, so I would use my platform, which at the time I used Zoom primarily. And so people would come on, I would edit in GarageBand, and then boom, I would publish it on Buzzsprout. So that's kind of the flow. The best move I could have made was hiring my producer, Michael Kenobi. That's right. Going to give him a big thank you. And what's great about this journey is the reason Michael and I know each other is during COVID, everybody was having not in-person auctions, they were virtual auctions. And so on two occasions, one for Lux for Life and the other, I believe, was Del Deo Elementary School, I got to work with Michael. And so he, at the time, worked in Southern California and has since moved up. And as he was moving up to Northern California, he just kind of reached out to me and say, hey, I'm a big fan of podcasts. I've heard your podcast. Would you be interested in having a producer? And I just kind of went, you know what? I think the time is right. Because the one thing I couldn't do or wrap my mind around is I had no problem doing the audio version. I got that down. I sourced everything out with 5RR, which, by the way, is a great website for sourcing anything out. I had all my intros and music done and everything, but I did not have a YouTube presence. Okay, so the thing I wanted to do is be able to have both an audio and a video version. And the reason is because what I've learned, especially as a teacher, is everybody learns and receives information differently. And so you have to cater to all of that to be able to get across, right? There's some of you out there, you don't even know what a podcast is. I wasn't introduced to podcasts really until like 2 years ago, okay? They were out there, and it's a booming business. And so the podcast world, and then of course the YouTube to kind of connect with it. You know what? We got the perfect 1-2 punch. And then what Michael has done with the program is not only does he just say, okay, yeah, I'll edit everything together. He's come with ideas. And so out of that, we've done the Banter Bros. We brought them on as a segment, and we've done Heavy Metal Thunder. And we're getting ready to launch kind of a branch of Heavy Metal Thunder where we look at videos for the first time, kind of get a first reaction. So I love the fact that this has gone so many different places and really being open to new ideas. And so if you're out there, or again, you know of someone that you think would be a great representation on this show, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Again, you can do that through the website, which is buzzardball.com, or you can email me at scbuzzard@gmail.com, or I'm okay with direct contact, 916-947-7464. So that kind of wraps up the journey. Hope you enjoyed it. And again, please go into the archives and just look at the guests. And if there's one that kind of stands out to you and you'd like to go, you know, yeah, I'd like to know more about Joe Davidson. I mean, think about that. He's an iconic name here in Sacramento, covering high school sports for the Sacramento Bee for so many years. He looks the same age as he did 20 years ago. He's got the Fountain of Youth going on. But you're like, what's his story? Right? So obviously we talk high school sports, but then we go into who is Joe Davidson, right? Damon Simonowski, you know, orthodontist here. Who is Damon Simonowski? He's got a great story. Nicole McKeever, Irish dance. I don't know a thing about Irish dance. Nicole was actually suggested to me by a friend, and I said, I'm just going for it. And I learned so much, and I've kept in contact with Nicole, just kind of watch her going ons with the great business that she has. And then Ian Frazier, the Sacramento Knights. You can see I can go on and on and on and on. That's why I invite you to check it out for yourself. All right. So we're going to take a break and talk and hear from some of those sponsors that I was telling you about. And then when we come back, we got our 5th installment of Heavy Metal Thunder as we look at Mastodon's Leviathan. And yeah, this one is going to get a high ranking. We'll be back right after this. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little segment right there, talking about the journey of Experience the Buzz. And right now, it is time to thank our sponsors. We are very, very fortunate to have 4 sponsors. And again, just want to do our due diligence here of making sure that we take care of the people. And in addition to the 4 sponsors, each of them have an episode. Let's get started. R5 Stitch and Print, Troy Rousey, episode number 25. You can hear his story, but what does he specialize in? Well, screen printing and embroidery. I've had a lot of work done with him. In fact, I think, yep, he's done this sweatshirt right here. Very good, amongst other things. He does a great job, has been doing it for a couple years now. He's got high-end machines. This guy's into the high-end machines to make sure that the product is good. Go to r5print.com. That is the website. Phone number is 916-454-3773. One of the good additions that they have put in place at R5 Print is, I think it's been about 8 or 9 months ago, they put in an in-house graphic design artist. Why is that important? I don't know about you, but I'm a visual person. I like to see things, right? Well, they can put together a visual for you for whatever you're looking for. And let's say you go in, you don't have any idea. Well, guess what? Troy and their team will sit down with you and actually put something together or give you suggestions, whether it be for your business or personal needs. Big thank you to R5 Stitch and Print. Next up, Pit Boss Jerky. In fact, episode 26, the one following, tells the story of Joe Green. This guy is the Pit Boss master, as they've got the order board. It's the number of Joe Green. That's right. If you want to order beef jerky, you're going to be talking to the owner, and trust me, he does not mind. It's 916-769-6807. I know Joe has been in the works, getting into Amy Hardware. They're also at a lot of the food fairs that are around town. I believe they're at Carmichael Park on Sundays. You got to get your hands on this. In fact, it's been a while since I've had my bag of Pit Boss jerky. There are not one, not two, not even 5 or 10. There's 13 different flavors. I'm going to read them off for you. The original 6, pepper garlic, Pit Boss original, sweet summer, honey gold, sweet and smoky, little heat. Next up came herb and smoke, big heat, and the keto mix, which a lot of people like. Keto mix is very good. It's soy and gluten-free. And then you get to some of my favorites, raspberry apple chipotle. From the outset, that was my number one, but then along came Island Teriyaki. I think that's the fan favorite. Then we have one named after the program called Experience the Buzz. And then the latest rendition is White Bull's Barbecue. And trust me, I know there are more in the hopper. Big thank you to Joe Green and Pit Boss Jerky. Next up, Little Whale Swim School, the premier swim school right here in Sacramento, located at 4106 El Camino Avenue. Anya Hall is the owner, and she's featured in episode 6. She has a great story as it relates to her family, who actually had the same business in the Bay Area. She just brought it to Northern California, and that actually has said that there might be possibilities of expanding. Very good. Why is Little Whale Swim School great? 2 big things, I believe, is that they have a great indoor facility, so that means a nice heated pool, and they go all year long. They have a fun, great staff that you want to check out. How do you get in touch? Well, on the website, littlewhaleswim.com. Also on social media under Little Whale Swim, or you can call it 916-790-5945. So a big thank you to Little Whale. And finally, Matt, the mortgage guy, Matt Gouget. Man, you talk about what has this guy done since his episode 28. Well, his team, they're at mtmg.com, 916-802-9291. Personally, Matt and his team helped my family with a refinance. Took about a month from beginning to end. Success. Also helped us lower our home insurance and our flood insurance. The flood insurance was a big reduction thanks to Matt and his team. Well, what has he done since then? Well, now he's national, right? Still helping people in Sacramento, but now has teamed up with a group called U Mortgage, where now he can give his services to everybody across the country. Why has this happened? Well, 2 things. He's got a YouTube channel that has over 1 million viewers, has over 500 videos, and it's simply about education. Does a live chat every Monday at 6 o'clock. In addition, he has added a podcast. I got to be a part of episode number 9. It's called Get Better Every Day. He is interviewing people, just talking about what they do and what it is that helps them get better every day. So I encourage you to reach out to Matt the Mortgage Guy. Again, mtmg.com. Great tools on the website like the home purchase qualifier, refinance rate checker, and today's mortgage rate, as well as loan options. So there you have it, a little extended version, but well do for our sponsors, Matt the Mortgage Guy, Little Whale Swim School, Pit Boss Jerky, and of course R5 Stitch and Pray. Now it's time to get into the next and final segment. It's number 5. It's Heavy Metal Thunder. Enjoy.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss an episode of Experience the Buzz by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. It means everything. Now, back to the show.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome back into a special edition of Experience the Buzz. They're all special, aren't they? But today, in episode number 98, no guest. We're just going the journey. That's right, the journey of the first 97 episodes as we get ready to embark upon number 100. So exciting to hear about all the people that have actually been on this show. And the cool thing is like, what's ahead? You know, there's so many more people here in the capital city that I am looking forward to talking to. And as we talked about, we're going to branch out too. We're going to go beyond the state of California or the city of Sacramento and really talk to some interesting people. Because as I have expressed many times before, everyone has a story. But it is now time for another installment of Heavy Metal Thunder. That's right. This is installment number 5, and I'm very excited about today's. It probably should have been my first one, but I thought it was only logical that you start with your first metal album. Like, how did I get into that? And if you remember, that was Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast way back in the 80s. But let's go ahead and fast forward to my favorite current band right now, which would be Mastodon. So today we look at Mastodon's Leviathan. And what is really tough about today is really you need to experience this for yourself to understand what I'm going to try to convey to you. But all the heavy metalers out there, I'll tell you what, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Mastodon's Leviathan, which was released in August of 2004. Now, when I came onto the scene with knowing Mastodon, it happened in a concert. So it was 2006, and the band had just released their next album, which was Blood Mountain. My brother-in-law, Jim, and I, we always go to metal concerts together. We had to go see Mastodon for the very first time at Slim's in San Francisco. That's right. Little fun fact is that Slim's is owned by Boz Scaggs. Boz Scaggs, a singer and musician, and he owns this great place where many bands have come through the Bay Area. And the best part of it is that it actually has a sign up on the wall that says no mosh pits, which you bring in a heavy metal band like Mastodon, oh boy. Well, check it out. Converge was the first band, and then Mastodon came on. And I just remember Jim and I, we just kind of creeped our way up to the front of the stage and a little off to the left. So we were literally right there looking up at the band as they came out and started their set. It was jaw-dropping. Yeah, it just brought it to life. And Leviathan for me is truly a metal masterpiece. That's right. And it's really what launched Mastodon, which has 8 full studio albums to their credit. It really was what launched them into the heavy metal scene. Before that, they had opened with Remission. They were a band from Georgia, got together in the year 2000. But I'm telling you, Troy Sanders, Brent Hines, Braun Daler, and Bill Kelleher, that 4-piece, man, they bring it. And I was really attracted to Troy Sanders because Troy Sanders is not only the lead man, but he's also the bassist. And the way he sings and the way he commands the performance and the way he just gets into this zone that I can't even explain. Again, you would have to know Mastodon to know exactly what I'm talking about. So, with that, outside of the individuals, let's talk about these tracks. Well, we got 10. That's my magic number. And it's a little over, I believe, 45 minutes long. But it opens with Blood and Thunder. So I am here to tell you that if there is one song that I would claim as my metal anthem, it's this song. I go to it all the time. Blood and Thunder. It's got this amazing guitar riff to really start things out. And you're like, what's going on? And then you get the first line. I've shared this before, but it says, I think that someone is trying to kill me. And then boom, it gets into it. Now, the irony is that when you think of that, you're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This is heavy metal gore. Are they Satanists? Are they satanic? No, not the case. In fact, it has to do with the 1851 novel Moby Dick by Herman Melville. That's right. They based, in fact, this whole album on the novel. And to me, as heavy metal artists, I'm like, okay, I like that. I really like that. So there's a lot of irony in this song. I'm just going to read lyrics to you. So this kind of poetry moment. So you get that I think that someone is trying to kill me, infecting my blood and destroying my mind. No man of the flesh could ever stop me. The fight for this fish is a fight to the death. And then you get to the chorus, which is White Whale, Holy Grail. Just awesome. I just love it. Then you get to the second verse, and then what remorseless emperor commands me? I mean, think about that lyric in itself. To me, that's like top shelf lyric writing. I no longer govern my soul. I'm completely immersed in darkness as I turn my body away from the sun. Okay, and then you get the White Whale, Holy Grail again, and then it gets into this piece where it builds up, and then boom, it's just like heart pounding. It says, split your lungs with blood and thunder when you see the white whale. Break your backs and crack your oarsmen. I mean, can you see that? I see that vividly for some reason. If you wish to prevail, this ivory leg is what propels me. Harpoons thrust in the sky. aim directly for his crooked brow and look him straight in the eye. I mean, those are just great lyrics. So there's no doubt, without me even getting into my top 3, Blood and Thunder is number 1. And then you get I Am Ahab, great song, followed by CB. CB's kind of brings it down a little bit, but then you come back up with a song called Islands. And, I just love the lyrics to the next 2 songs, which are Iron Tusk and Megalodon. So 2 and 3, Megalodon for me, and then Iron Tusk. Iron Tusk was actually the first song that was released, but Megalodon for me just does it. But, listen to these lyrics. Myth or legend, nymph tale washed ashore. Near the kraken sleepeth, stirs coral and bone. Infinite city, no sexy sneer. I was just like, who writes this stuff? But it's so good within the song. Megalodon has a great couple of tracks as far as the guitar. Iron Tusk is just like straight at you, straight line, feel it burst, liver and lung, long and strong till she spills her black blood. Center down, vast the head, the body and tail, shattered life, visitor catodon. I don't even know what that is. Anyways, you can see why I get excited about this album. And then finishing out, you got Naked Burn, Aqua Dementia, Hearts Alive, and Joseph Merrick. Now, Aqua Dementia is for the first time. I'm not sure if he was featured in Remission, but Mastodon is known for this. They bring in a guy named Scott Kelly, who is from the band Neurosis, and he is featured on many of Mastodon's tracks. So, when you break it down, and the fact that it was coupled with the first time that I saw Mastodon in 2006, I remember hearing Blood and Thunder, which was the encore song, and just going, oh my gosh, there's a reason why I love this band. So I've told you about my progression, Van Halen to the hair metal bands, to Metallica, to Sepultura, and then it grew into what I love now is Mastodon, Gojira, and the Deftones. So those are my 3 favorites right now. But I love going back, and that's why I love this segment. So Leviathan, and here's the other thing too, you got to check out the album cover. It's one of the most iconic album covers. You got the big white whale coming out of the sea, breaking the ship. It's just got everything. So kudos to the boys. Man, Troy Sanders, Brent Hines, Bill Kelleher, and Bron Daler, and they're still doing it to this day. 22 years later, they just released Hushed and Grim. I at some point will look at that. It's not my all-time favorite Leviathan. There is another one that is my all-time favorite and probably will get the perfect mark. So, last but not least, we got to give it a rating, and I'm going to give this one, no doubt about it, Leviathan, a 9.5. Okay, and the 0.5 that just keeps it away from being a 10 is there's just a couple of songs where I'm like, okay, Joseph Merrick at the end to me is kind of a lighter thing. I kind of want that through and through. So I would say definitely 1 through 9. I got it. 10, maybe it was just trying to calm me down from all the energy that I had from the first 9. Again, my top 3, Blood and Thunder. That's my anthem, followed by Megalodon and Iron Tusk. So there you have it, another dose of heavy metal thunder. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll include the Spotify playlist. You can go check it out yourself. Listen to it, 1 through 10. If you're a metalhead out there, let me know. I don't even know who's out there that loves metal like I do. I feel like I'm on this island a little bit with my brother-in-law, Jim, and maybe my son, Max. And I don't know if there's anybody else out there that loves heavy metal. So that will do it for this installment, and we'll wrap things up for Experience the Buzz. That's all I got for now. Talk to you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you for joining Steve this week on Experience the Buzz. Steve would love to hear from you. Leave a review or contact Steve directly with any questions at scbuzzard@gmail.com. To see the other adventures of Steve Buzzard, be sure to visit buzzardball.com.